What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So today we are going to be discussing the upcoming patch notes for Season 5. So yes, there are a lot of changes, and just so you guys know, just in case you guys don't want to waste your time, there is no change to the USS 9, unfortunately, but there are a lot of changes to a lot of weapons that actually I use a lot, which is actually surprising for this season. So this may not be a lot of changes that you may like, but they are definitely a lot of changes that I like, fortunately. So the Switchblade X9 is the first change that we do have here, and they basically increase the multiplier for the stomach from 0.9 to 1 times, as well as adding a 3% movement speed buff for the skeleton stock. So now we move on to the Peacekeeper, which probably has the best change it could possibly receive at the moment, which is reduced horizontal recoil. So I'm sure a lot of you guys that use this weapon on a regular basis have probably wanted this change to come by for a long time, because let's be honest, Peacekeeper is a very good weapon, but its potential is always stunted by the horizontal recoil. I feel like that's something that they needed to fix for a long time, and given how toxic the meta is right now, having a change like this really shouldn't change anything. So as per tradition, we cannot have a good patch notes unless there is a buff for the M13. So yes, the RTC heavy long barrel got reduced ADS movement speed penalty from 15% to 5%, basically meaning you're going to strafe a lot faster when you use this heavy long barrel. So now we move on to another weapon that I do favor a lot in this game, which of course is the ASM-10. They reduced the movement speed penalty from 4% to 2%, making it a little bit faster with movement. And for no stock, they reduced the hit flinch penalty from 20% to 10%. According to Bebbles, there's like another change when it came to, I guess, the movement, or the ADS movement speed of the Branson, which was supposed to decrease it by a significant amount. So I'm not sure if that's officially a change. That's something that we're going to have to see, because I don't know, he's saying one thing and then Leakers on Duty is saying another thing. Now we move on to the Type 25, which arguably has like the most changes for Season 5. So the BSA improved from 2514 to 2012. So this thing's going to be a hell of a lot more accurate than it was before. If anything, it probably should bring the accuracy back to when it was at its prime. So the hit flinch also got reduced from 0.8 to 0.6, and for the MIP extended light barrel, they increased the horizontal recoil reduction buff from 3.2% to 8%, and the tactical foregrip A, they also added a 6.4% horizontal recoil reduction buff. So basically, they made a lot of changes for the accuracy in general. You know, whether it goes from BSA or if it goes to horizontal recoil, it seems like they're trying to stabilize this weapon as much as humanly possible. Which I do have to say, it's not really much of a bad thing right now, given that we're getting like the VMP next season, which is supposed to be a very overpowered weapon. I mean, the VMP is usually known for that. So having a change like this, again, might not change the meta that much. It might entice people to use the weapon a little bit more, but I don't know by how much. And I do understand that a lot of people do use the steady stock for the Type 25 right now, because I think Leakers on Duty made a class setup that would, you know, have you use it. But given that we now have a huge buff to the accuracy, I don't really think we need that sort of attachment anymore. So we don't have to slow ourselves down that much. So now we move on to probably one of the more questionable changes. Not questionable as in like, oh my god, it's going to be overpowered, but more questionable as like, why the fuck did they bother to do this? So for the LK24, they increased the stomach multiplier from 1 times to 1.1 times, and they also improved the BSA from 16.5 to 12.5, making it already more accurate than it was, even though it was pretty much at the height of accuracy anyways. So now we have another change for the FR556. So the range profile increased from 26 meters, 33 meters to 30 meters and 40 meters. So yeah, make of that as you will. I think they're trying to make the 556 the most long range AR possible. But yeah, the MIP light barrel short also did get an increased ADS movement speed buff from 2% to 10%. So if you do want to use that barrel, you're going to have a little bit more strafe speed. Okay, to be honest with you guys, I cannot get over the fact that they keep buffing the range for this thing. I know the FR556 isn't the strongest weapon in the game, but holy shit, it has like the best default range I think I've ever seen of any weapon so far. So another welcoming change is for the MSMC. They increased the movement speed from 5.14 meters per second to 5.26 meters per second. They also increased the ADS movement speed from 4.11 meters per second to 4.31 meters per second. And for the OWC Marksman barrel, they did reduce the ADS time penalty from 15% to 10%. So yes, they're trying to make the MSMC a lot more effective when it comes to movement. And, you know, a little change like this will definitely go a long way for a weapon that has been neglected for about 4 years at this point. So yeah, I'm happy to see this. Another change that we do have is for the MX9. The range profile got increased from 12 meters on the first range, 17 meters on the second, and 22 meters on the third. Now it got increased to 15 meters on the first, 20 on the second, and 25 on the third range. So it's a slight increase in range. A little bit worrying given the fact that the MX9 has a pretty fast fire rate and you don't have to worry about bullet speed. And with a range increase like this, it's going to be even more potent. So I can't wait to see how this turns out. So now we move on to the KSP. The range profile also got increased from 13 meters, 21 meters to 16, 25 meters. So that 3-shot range is going to be crazy for this gun, I would admit. I know it's 3 meters, but when you add and like a task force barrel or even the reinforced heavy, this thing is going to kill pretty quickly. I won't lie. So now we have some more range increases for the M1 Grand. So the range profile did get increased from 18 meters in the first range and 34 on the second to 20 meters on the first and 36 to the second, just a 2 range difference. But honestly, this might not really do much for a gun like this. I mean, it does help with 2-shot potential, being slightly further away, but that's basically it. Now we move on to the MW11. So the Akimbo perk did get a buff for the hipfire spread, which is definitely what it needed because I felt like I couldn't hit anything across like maybe 5 meters. So the hipfire spread got improved from 188 to 160. I don't know how much this is actually going to change, but I'm hoping to God that this thing makes it a little bit more accurate. I did mention to you guys that when I made this Akimbo perk video for the MW11 that the hipfire was basically the only thing that was kind of holding this back with the Akimbo option. So I'm glad that they're making improvements to the hipfire spread because yeah, it was not really reliable at all in Akimbo form. So we got changed to another pistol, which is the LCAR 9. The range profile did get increased from 9 meters, 16 to 10 meters, 17 meters. So basically just a slight increase on both ranges. Nothing too crazy, but given that it's a pistol, that's probably a very sizable change. And the ADS time also got reduced from 180 milliseconds to 170 milliseconds. Don't know how much that's going to change. Maybe you guys can tell me because I have literally never used this pistol unless I was getting if diamond, and that's basically it. So they nerfed my baby, which is the machine pistol. The short barrel, which increased the fire rate, basically got a shoot to fire penalty down to 15%. So it's going to be a little bit slower picking up the weapon, which I don't think would make too much of a difference, at least for me. For the 7.62 Gorenko 40 round mags, they also reduced the leg multiplier from 1 times to 0.9 times, which I think is not a change that would matter to me again, because I don't really aim for the legs. I usually just aim for like the upper torso or the head. So yeah, I guess I have to be a little bit more careful then, I guess. I don't know. So for BR, the AK-117 is the only weapon that got touched. So the damage profile got reduced from 25, 22, 19 to 25, 22, 18, then 15. So they added an extra range at a further distance to make this thing a little bit less effective. Well, I don't know by a little bit, but like I know this weapon has caused a lot of problems in terms of balancing. And I know that because of Alcatraz. Everyone seems to just have this weapon on hand and just melt you completely, like basically disregarding your armor. Now I want to individually talk about both of these changes that have a lot of people shitting their pants right now. The first one being the Cryobomb. They increased the health from 20 to basically 200. So it's going to take way more shots to basically take this thing out. I know a lot of people get easily annoyed by this in objective game mode. So yeah, this thing is going to be quite a bit of a nightmare. Unless I think the EMP could shut it down pretty fast. So it might not be a nightmare after all, but it might require you to use an equipment that you may need in like the future. So for the other change, we also have Martyrdom, basically one of the most hated perks in this game as of right now, even more so in Kill Confirmed, and they reduced the death grenade detonation by 1 second. So basically, the moment you kill someone, a second later, that bomb is basically just going to explode. I will admit the martyrdom change is probably the one thing I'm concerned about the most because, I mean, honestly, changing the timing I don't really think matters because I feel like the timing has kind of like a mind of its own, or like this perk has a mind of its own. So like what I mean by that is whenever you kill someone, sometimes like if you're far away from the grenade, like it won't explode at all, or it will just take forever, like a good 5 seconds. But then like if you're just close to it, it just explodes immediately. I'm not sure if this is like some sort of time illusion thing, but I swear to God, there has to be some little weird algorithm within this perk that has some weird motion sensor feature in it, because I swear to God, it explodes in different times every single time. For any of you guys that want to leave a comment, let me know if you have the same effect too, because I swear to God, like, I don't even think it was 2 seconds ever. I think sometimes it's just like whenever you're near the grenade, then it explodes to do maximum damage. But of course, like if you have like a glass half full type of mentality, this might actually be a good thing, especially if you kill someone at a longer range, because, you know, getting the tag may not really be a big issue if the grenade explodes before you even get there. So yeah, that might actually help in some ways, but I know in close range engagements, it might actually be a nightmare, but in long range, it might actually end up reducing the times you die to it. So here are the rest of the changes for the patch notes. I didn't really feel like going over them individually because these are just stuff that doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.